Hey guys, welcome to our second week, episode 1, our Monday episode of Tea Times. Good afternoon. I'm really excited about the stuff that we're going to be getting into and start talking about. Last week we talked a lot about stuff like our grip. We talked about our aim and alignment. We talked about how tightly we should be holding the golf club. A lot of that is kind of our getting ready to swing checklists and process that we go through. Okay, we're gonna be working on getting into the swings this week. We're gonna start talking about the 4 different types of golf swings. Now, if you've been to a first tee lesson before, you're probably extremely familiar with hearing your coaches talk about these swings. First off, we have our putting, and I think you guys got the hang of that last week with our putting challenge, as well as our first lesson about patience. The putting stroke is very simple. And I know I'm holding a 9-iron right now, so imagine this was a putter, okay? Our putting stroke is very simple. It's a shoulder stroke that's not very long, right? It's about this length. We don't really ever go that much further than this when we're putting. You'll notice that when I putt, my shoulders and my arms, they make a Y shape. I never break that Y shape at any point during the putt. Obviously, you guys have seen full swings before. You know that eventually you can't keep that Y shape the entire time that you swing, right? After putting, our next longest stroke is going to be chipping, and the 9-iron is a great club to demonstrate this swing with. Okay, a chip shot is a shot that looks kind of like a putt, except it's a little bit longer. We take the club back a little bit further, and we do a couple of things differently. We'll get into those in a second, because chipping is going to be our topic today. Okay. We also have a pitch swing when we pitch the golf ball, or pitching, and what that looks like is a little bit longer than a chip. It's not quite into full swing territory, but it is a little bit longer. And the pitch swing is actually the first time really in our golf swing that we introduce the wrist. And so that's what kind of makes the pitch shot unique as opposed to the chip shot. So when we go and get into our pitching, we'll kind of talk about the differences there. All right, and then last but not least, certainly, is our full swing, okay? And our full swing is probably what, if you turn on golf on TV, you see a lot of these. They look really cool. Full swing is our big, full, meant to generate as much power as we can type golf swing. So we're gonna get into this week the kind of distinctions and differences between each of those types of swings, so that, you know, probably by week 3 of Tea Times, we're gonna be out there hitting golf shots. Okay? All right, guys, we're back. We had to go grab a golf ball. I forgot one, and we hit you guys with a nice little background scene change. What we're talking today, though, about is chipping. Okay. Now, we kind of mentioned before that the chip stroke is kind of like the putting stroke. It's a very shouldery stroke where we talk about maintaining that Y shape. But in order to chip properly, we want to take that a little step further. I want to give you guys some tips so that when you go out and chip on a golf course, you're successful. In my opinion, the easiest way to communicate and teach chipping to people is the BLT method. Now, a lot of people know that as a sandwich, right? A bacon, lettuce, tomato. But what we're talking about with chipping is back, lean, tilt. Back, lean, tilt. What exactly does that mean? Well, the reason why I went and grabbed the golf ball is what we're gonna be doing when we chip is we're gonna be putting the ball in the back of our stance. So for us right-handed golfers like myself, that means that that ball is really close to our right foot. If you were to draw a line from this ball straight back to my stance, you would see that it's very close to the inside of my right foot, okay? Second thing, so that covers our back or our beat. Second thing, we're gonna lean our weight forward. So again, right-handed golfers here, that means that you're going to be leaning onto your left side, so away from the golf ball. Basically what you're doing is you're getting your body and your weight positioned away from that golf ball. Okay, left-handed golfers, remember how in the grip video I said that a lot of what I'm talking about can be applied to you, you just got to switch it? Same thing. Okay, I'm going to turn my club upside down so you guys can see this. If I'm a lefty, it means I'm going this direction. That golf ball is really close to my left foot, my dominant foot. Okay, draw a line straight back, really close to the inside. My weight, therefore, gets leaned to the right side. So lefty versus righty, both of you guys can do this. Just switch the directions that I'm telling you, because most of what I say is for right-handed golfers. Okay, last thing that we're going to talk about is our T. All right, so our T in our BLT for chipping is tilt. What that means is once I get set up and I get my ball positioned correctly, my weight shifted correctly, I get my lean, what I'm going to do is tilt the angle of the shaft of my golf club forward. And this is probably the hardest part about this, especially for somebody that's inexperienced with this, with getting their hands in front of the golf ball. Okay, tilting, what this accomplishes, like I just said, my hands get ahead of the golf ball. Now, that does a couple of things for us. All right, first off, when our hands are in front of the golf ball, if we use our shoulder stroke and keep those hands in front of the golf ball, we're gonna hit really good chip shots that are gonna come out at the right trajectory. One of the things that I see all the time is when we chip, a lot of kids don't have the ball far enough back in their stance. Also, they get the club straight up and down. Now, this might not seem like a huge deal to you guys, and I bet you can still hit some decent chip shots from this position. The problem is going to be with the consistency, because what this encourages is it encourages you to use your wrists in order to hit the shot. Because how else are you going to get that club through the ball unless if you're supplying it with some wrist? Okay, the reason why we get our hands in front on our tilt phase of this shot, so the reason why I'm going from here to here is because if I make this stroke purely shoulders, but I maintain this angle, I'm gonna be able to consistently hit the same golf shot over and over and over again. Outside of putting, for me personally, the chip shot, I can hit it with like 99% accuracy. And what the reason why I say 99, obviously I'm so prone to messing up, I think everybody is, but I can consistently hit this shot with any club in my bag all the time because it's so simple. And that's the reason why BLT is so good, is because if you do those three things consistently, you're gonna be able to reproduce that same exact shot over and over and over again. You might have heard of this, instead of being called a chip shot, you might have heard of this being called a bump and run before, or a Texas wedge. There's a reason why in tournaments like the British Open, you see shots like this being used all the time because it's consistent. It holds up under pressure. It is a great shot to have in your bag and master. I think a lot of kids, especially high school age, you get a sand wedge or a 60 degree in your bag and you feel like you want to use that for every shot where you're off of the green, no exceptions. That's your go-to club. It's comfortable, feels great, you love it. What I will tell you is that if you can learn how to hit a proper chip shot bump and run with a 9-iron, then you're gonna reduce your margin for error. A sand wedge, you could hit a beautiful shot that stops this far from the pin, or you could chunk it a little bit and end up with a 30-foot putt for your next putt. Okay, with this shot, odds are furthest out you're gonna be is about 10 to 12 feet. It's that consistent. So I really want you guys to know this shot and to master it. I think it's so important to build your short game foundation around this type of a swing and this type of a shot, because you can apply what you learn from learning how to chip apply it to your pitching technique and get great results. I'm not saying you have to use this 100% of the time, but when you opt for a BLT style chip, in most situations, it's going to be the more consistent and probably more effective option for you to choose. All right, guys, so you just listened to me talk about for like 3 or 4 minutes why I think BLT chipping is such a good shot to know and to master and to understand. What I want to kind of get across to you guys is that primarily this shot is used on golf courses. It's harder to do in a backyard because this shot is designed to get up into the air a little bit. It's designed to land on the green or like the fringe, and then it's designed to roll out to the hole. So it's kind of hard to get a good feel for, you know, how hard you're hitting this shot when you're in a backyard where the grass is really long, where it's as long as your average rough, right? Because the ball's not going to roll anywhere. But one thing that I think is really important that people don't tend to do super great when they first learn how to chip and when they first learn about, you know, short game shots in general is their contact. Let me raise this up so I can kind of explain it. Your golf ball will be sitting into some grass. Like if that grass is short, you know, it might be sitting up really nice. If the grass is a little bit longer, it could be kind of nestled in between some grass that's kind of poking up around the ball. Regardless of your lie or how the ball's sitting, when you hit these shots, you have got to get your club underneath the ball. Now, we don't want the club to come underneath the ball way back here. We don't want it to go way underneath the ball. We also don't want it to barely touch the golf ball like this because we're not going to access or use any of the loft of the club. So, one of the things I really like to do, and I don't know if you guys will have these at home. Where did I put the ping pong ball? Oh, it's over here. Hold on one second, guys. I'm not prepared. As you can see, I'm still new to this recording thing. What I have here is a ping pong ball, okay? Now, if we're in a backyard type setting and we don't have a green to practice this shot on, we can at least work on our contact. And one of the reasons I really like using a ping pong ball is because A, it'll sit up on top of the grass because it's so light. You know, golf ball, if I set a golf ball on the grass, it nestles down because it's so heavy. I set a ping pong ball on, it's so light, it stays on top. So it'll allow us to see the golf ball, which is great. Also, when we hit this shot, the ping pong ball will explode off of the club face. All right, and that'll allow us to see, hey, are we using the loft of this golf club? That ping pong ball got up in the air. Yes, we are. It's not gonna roll anyways because we're in the rough, so it'll at least allow us to see, you know, hey, did I get proper contact on this shot? In that case, I think the answer was yes. So that's one way I really like to practice. Also, I'm not gonna be taking divots when I'm hitting a ping pong ball because I don't need to. It's sitting up on the grass. I don't want mom and dad to send me an email next week saying, why are all these chunks missing out of my lawn? So keep that in mind. Also, when I was a kid, we had a basement that was pretty open, and I had the luxury of being able to kind of chip or hit some sand wedge, like small swing shots in my basement. Ping pong ball is a great way to do that indoors, because we don't want any accidents where, you know, the golf ball, we blade the shot and it hits our TV and we're in trouble. So keep that in mind. Ping pong ball will at least allow you to see, hey, am I making good contact? How's the swing looking? That type of stuff. That was a lot about chipping, right? And trust me, like, we barely really scratched the surface on it. All we talked about was the technique and the stroke. Obviously there's a huge element of practice required in order to get good at it. A lot of you maybe prefer to hit a different style of shot, so this will be like learning a brand new skill. When we talk about all these different golf swings, right, we're talking about putting, chipping, pitching, full swing. If you look at all of that as one big subject, i.e. golf, if you just look at this as golf, that is a lot of different stuff to learn about, and it can be very intimidating, right? When you think about I have to learn to putt, then I have to learn to chip, then I have to learn how to pitch, then I have to learn about a full swing. And all these swings are different. And all of them, I have to have my grip right. And all of them, I can't hold my club too tightly. And all of them, you guys get what I'm saying, right? It can be intimidating to just look at it that way. But what we're doing here by talking about chipping specifically on our first episode is that we are breaking it down into smaller, more digestible parts. I have a perfect example of this. I just recently got into computers and I built myself a computer. When I first started this process a couple months ago, I had no idea what I was doing. Like zero idea. You could have told me that I needed a certain part in my computer that doesn't even exist and I'd have been like, oh, I better make sure I get that, okay? But what I did was I learned about the power, and then I learned about the CPU, or central processing unit, and then I learned about the components of the computer, the memory. I learned about the peripherals, the keyboard, the mouse. By approaching it step by step, section by section, I was able to complete my own PC build. Now, it's just a real life example of something that I used, but we're doing the same thing with golf, right? If we took everything all at once and I tried to teach you every single thing and just information dump everything I knew about golf onto you guys, it would probably be really overwhelming and a lot to deal with. So we're gonna go step by step. Today was chipping, and we'll revisit this. But tomorrow we're gonna talk about pitching. Really excited, it's one of my favorite swings. So, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.